there, I'm Miss J and welcome to my cooking show. Today we're going to be making death by chocolate cookies. Is everybody ready? First up, grab your apron. It's very important to have an apron for any 50s woman. We must stay clean at all times. Now, second, we're going to look at our ingredients. First up, we have flour. You're going to need some brown sugar, butter, 2 eggs, some vanilla, baking powder, and lastly, chocolate, and lots of it. Next up, it's time to preheat your oven. Today we're preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect. Now all we have to do is wait for the oven to preheat, and then it should be good to go. Next up, it's time to get our ingredients ready. First up, you're going to need chocolate, and lots of it like I said before. You're going to need exactly 8 ounces of chocolate for melting. In this case, I don't have a baker's bar, so we're just going to melt some chocolate chips. This bag was 24 ounces, so I knew exactly it was a third. At this point in time, let's add 4 tablespoons of butter to the added chocolate, and then we're going to microwave those together on high heat for 1 to 2 minutes. Next up, it's time to microwave those 2 ingredients together. After 1 minute, it's time to check on the chocolate and butter. As you can see here, the butter has melted into the chocolate and it's time to stir. Now, while we wait for the chocolate in the microwave to heat up, let's share a fun fact about chocolate. Now, while I've always considered myself a total chocoholic, it turns out there's actually no proven science towards that. Once your chocolate is nice and smooth, it's time to add in the other ingredients. First up is brown sugar, is 2 eggs, and lastly, vanilla. All good to go. Now time to mix them up. Time to get that arm workout in, ladies! Next up, it's time to combine the flour and the baking soda. 1 cup of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Time to mix them together. Before we mix the wet and dry ingredients, let's share a fun fact about baking powder. Baking powder acts as a leavening agent in our cookies, and it's what makes them so light and fluffy and delicious. Baking soda doesn't quite have enough, so that's why we add baking powder that has a little bit more acidity to it. Now, let's add the flour to the chocolate mixture and stir until smooth. Another arm workout, ladies! Once your mixture is nice and smooth, it's time to add in your chocolate chips. Exactly 1 cup will do. Here's the place where you could add nuts if you like, but for the kiddos on the block, I'm going to omit them just in case there's any allergies. Mix until smooth and thoroughly distributed. Once your cookie dough is all ready to go, it's time to get out the parchment paper and line these trays. We don't want our cookies sticking to the trays. That would be a disaster. Before we put the cookie dough onto these sheets, make sure you grease them with some butter. We don't want those sticking at all. Nice smooth layers. And now time to do the other side. And now it's time to get that cookie dough onto these trays and into that oven. 1 by 1, dollop a nice big tablespoon onto your sheet. Perfect. Now just repeat this until you're done with all your mixture. Now it's time to get these little nuggets of joy into the oven. We're going to start for 8 minutes on the middle shelf, and then we're going to open it up after 8 minutes, rotate them around, and put them in for another 8 minutes. 1 and 2. The cookies are all good to go, and we'll see them in 8 minutes to rotate them around. In the meantime, it's time for a dancer interlude and some fun facts.
When the chimes ring 5, 6, and 7, we'll be right in 7 heaven.
While your cookies are in the oven, it's important to share this fact. Now, while these cookies may be called death by chocolate, and that's just a little funny pun, we must watch out because there is a chemical called theobromine in these cookies, which means they can be toxic to your little cats and dogs. So just be careful they don't get in your cookie jar. Now that it's been 8 minutes, let's switch those cookies around in the oven. Bring one to the bottom to help you switch it around smoother. All good to go. Now just another 8 minutes and they'll be all ready to go. Now that it's been another 8 minutes, our cookies should be all ready to go. And boy, do they smell delicious. Now it's ready to let them cool on your counter for at least a minute, and then we can transfer them to another wire rack to cool. Now it's time to switch our cookies to the wire rack so they can cool completely. It still might be hot, so be careful and wear your oven mitt. Now take your spatula and one by one carefully move each cookie to the wire rack. Finally, our cookies are ready to eat and enjoy with a nice glass of cold milk. But of course we have to share them with the family. Honey, the cookies are ready! Oh, isn't he wonderful? Oh, and so sweet. Thank God we get to enjoy these delicious cookies together. And they're great for the kids in the neighborhood too. Bake sale approved and all. Absolutely delicious. And so refreshing. Bye everybody! Thank you so much for joining me this week for Death by Chocolate Cookies.